our student alumni. So there you go.
Hey guys, this feels a lot different than a general meeting. So today we have three really cool guys coming all the way from Nova. And when I was 9 years old, I saw these guys winning millions of dollars playing cards on the computer. They recently opened 2 new restaurants, Roleplay and a second, Chasing Tails, which have been featured on Fox 5 and Washington Post. And they're here today to share their unconventional story of how they got there. The twist, these guys were in your shoes a couple years ago. Well, maybe a few more than a couple years ago. But being from an era where VSA, where we actually won Turkey Bowl and where Fall Fest was at Lambeth every year, these three helped shape VSA into what it is today. So, without further ado, it's with great pleasure that I welcome my 3 biggest role models, Oh, Hak, and Zidane.
Oh, whoops, wrong presentation. Alright, now there we go.
First of all, I want to thank Queenie again for that lovely intro. But before we start, did anyone see the picture that Queenie set me up with? Queenie, man, I know I'm old, but you got to help me out a little bit here, man. You gave me no chance with this picture. And before we start, I also want to thank all of you guys for the sick invite. Queenie told me to say that. But, man, 13 years ago, I actually went to another VSA show, and I saw one of these guest speaker events. And I remember the lady that came back. She was about my age right now. My first thought was, man, she's so successful, and she's such an inspiration. And then I remember my second thought being, my God, she is so old. And so now here we are. But anyway, speaking about VSA events, how many of you guys are in VSA? Pretty much all of you guys. Well, I was supposed to ask how many of you guys are not in VSA, but I think everyone's in VSA, right? And how many of you guys are just here for the free stuff? That's good. So when Queenie asked us to speak, we really had no idea where to start. Naturally, we played it on our Facebooks. I scrolled back like hundreds of thousands of photos until our UVA days. And Queenie made us sound like such sickos in his introduction, but I assure you guys we're just regular people, just like all of you guys. Just like you guys, we look forward to going to Intramural Wednesdays to play basketball at AFC, and then we just end up getting slaughtered by the tall white guys. Just like you guys, we bonded playing Mafia during Beach Week. Well, I played until one day. The game came down to the very end. It was getting really intense, and I called our then VSA president, who's also in the game, an idiot. And I also called her a few other things, but don't worry about that part. She ran into her bedroom and cried the entire night. And it turns out she was the detective, and I was the idiot that got her killed. And I lost the game for us. So no one let me play again after that. So. And of course, we stayed up the entire night before the TED show, rehearsing like crazy. But from watching you guys' TED show from last year, you guys have come such a long way since when we were there. Back then, all of our skits were voiceovers. It was always dubbed. And one year, Hak and I waited until the very last minute to burn the audio for the skit onto a CD. And for those of you guys who might be too young to know what CDs are, they're the round things that they store like data. It's all the sounds on there. But anyway, Hak and I were so tired, but we didn't want to both accidentally fall asleep and miss the show. So we took turns taking 15-minute naps while the other person worked. And we were so stressed. We were so stressed that night. But then we did it, and it always turned out okay. Then after the show, of course, we went to the after party at Sketchron. And we do what you kids do now. You guys call it getting turned. I'm sure O has even more epic UVA stories, but he'll share it with you guys soon, okay? Queenie does fill me and the rest of my brothers in on a lot of the stuff that goes on at UVA right now. We figured the best way to start this speech would be to imagine ourselves as current VSA UVA students sitting out there, which we were a long time ago. O 6 years ago was the last time he was here, to me 15 years ago when I first joined VSA. And as many of you guys know, the three of us earned our UVA engineering degrees, but then we decided to take a very untraditional route of playing cards and opening restaurants for a living. So in the next 15 minutes, we will share the lessons with you that we learned over the last 15 years. We tried our absolute hardest to answer one question. And that question is, what would the 30-year-old us tell the 20-year-old us sitting in that chair? Remember, we are three regular, normal people, just like you guys, that went on a slightly different path. And no, of course we won't dare come back to UVA and say, throw away your degrees, they're useless. We're just saying, for us, the unconventional path has been amazingly rewarding. And we're saying, man, we wish we knew this stuff 10 years ago before we went on this path. We broke it down into 3 main lessons that we learned. Lesson 1, the importance of teamwork. Lesson 2 is taking smart risks. And lesson 3 is always learn and grow. Taking an unconventional path is way more awesome when you are doing it with a great team, you're taking smart shots, and you have a growth mentality. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Hak, and he'll start.
Thank you, Z. All right, guys, we may look like one big happy family right now, but I'm gonna assure you guys that wasn't always the case. Believe it or not, there was a time in my life where Z would beat my ass every single day just for fun. In turn, though, I would beat O's ass every day, and that was pretty fun too. But eventually what happened was O figured out he could team up with Z, and they would both jump me at the same time. And but anyways, what would eventually happen was we did end up working together when it made sense to do so. So very few people know this, but before those Chasing Tails, before those role play, we also had untraditional jobs together as children. Let me tell you about our first hustle when we were 5, 9, and 10. But I have to warn you guys, it wasn't very sophisticated, we were just kids. So one day we were chilling at Shoppers, and Z was digging through the trash can. Z was digging through the trash can, sorry. Don't ask me why he was digging through the trash can. He was probably just bored. Okay. So somehow he found a winning scratch-off ticket in the trash can. And he thought to himself, wow, people must mistakenly throw these away like all the time. So after that, he recruited me and O onto his team. And basically every time we went to the grocery store, we would all be digging. So anyways, so the way it worked was, it wasn't actually a trash can. There was like a separate discard bin for scratch-off lottery tickets. And I mean, we weren't like that. Like, anyways, it wasn't like a trash can with like, anyways, it was just lottery tickets, right? And there was like 50, like on average, 50 discard tickets. There would be like one winner that someone would mistakenly discard. And so basically the prizes would vary between $1 up to $10, and you might even win like a free ticket. So we kind of like systemized the process. So Z would go in and Z would like dig into the trash can. I would be the lookout so he doesn't get caught. And then O would be sitting in the car. We run the tickets out to O. He would scan the tickets for the winning tickets and the losing ones. And then we keep like going in. I'm the lookout. Z's the guy that gets the tickets. And then, you know, it keeps going like that until we run out of tickets. So every time we went to the grocery store, we did that. We were making a pretty sick hourly. I think we were making about $2 an hour each. But that was a lot of money at the time. Eventually, we had to quit our first jobs as lottery ticket examiners. $2 an hour wasn't really cutting it. So fast forward a little bit. In 1999, O, Z, and I were 10, 14, and 16 years old. We were still some broke jokes. Pokemon cards were kind of like the it thing at the time, for kids at least. And O was in 4th grade, so he was kind of like picking up as many Pokemon cards as he could. He was just collecting them left and right. Me and Z were a little bit older, so you know we weren't really like part of that. But O came home one day and he said, "Hey, yo, my friend said a Charizard is worth $40." And I was like, dude, you would have to be brain dead to pay $40 for a piece of paper that cost like 2 cents. So basically I didn't believe him. But of course, O was right, I was wrong. So naturally, I took his entire collection of Pokemon cards and sold it on eBay. We made so much money from that. So basically what happened was we realized that anytime you bought a pack of Pokemon cards, it would cost $3. But for every pack, there's at least one rare card, and the minimum a rare card would go for was $5 on eBay. So basically what we did was we would just buy as many cards with as much money as we had, flip the cards on eBay, and then buy more cards with our profits, and then keep that going. We kind of systemized this process too. Z had just got his driver's license, so he was our driver, and he would drive O to the store. O would wait in line. You can only buy 10 packs at a time, so he would go buy 10 packs, go to the end of the line, and kind of hope the guy at the cashier didn't recognize him and buy another 10 packs. And I would be at home, and I would be posting everything on eBay basically. And then Z would drive us to the post office, and we would, basically we had an eBay account. Our eBay account was starting to gain some street cred. This was 1999, so eBay wasn't around for that long. We had like 100 positive rating points. That was a lot. But then soon we had this brilliant idea that would make us even more money. So get this. You create another account, and you bid on your own account, and you bump up the price. So anyways, that was kind of like the beginning of the end. They shut our accounts down, and apparently it's called shell bidding. We didn't know that at the time. And that was the end of our second venture together. So now fast forward to college. Actually, a lot of the most important lessons we learned did stem from our experience in VSA. I want to congratulate you guys on a successful Turkey Bowl this year. I was actually there watching, and the ladies played well, and the men's team actually had like a pretty sick playoff run. I think it was probably the first time you guys won a playoff game, or we won a playoff game as a men's team in like 10 years. Because I know we haven't won one. We haven't won one for ours. Talk about that. It's been a minute. That was back when I was playing. That was so long ago. But anyways, but every year Turkey Bowl kind of teaches like the players to make sacrifice, fulfill your role for the greater good, and to also work effectively together towards a common goal. Now there's always an eternal battle on all IM teams and all Turkey Bowl teams, and that battle is the eternal battle between fair and equal playing time versus playing the best players for the best chance to win. I know you guys can probably all relate to that. Over time, you start to learn that the best teams are the ones that learn that it's important to balance both things. You can't just like have one thing and not have the other. You have to balance both things in order to be effective as a group. So anyways, another one of my favorite VSA events was Pho Fest. You guys have actually come a long way. We've come a long way. UVA VSA has come a long way since I was around for Pho Fest. Let me tell you about my first Pho Fest. It was kind of a nightmare, but you know, we'll start. I'll try my best to paint a picture. So imagine this. You guys know the room in Lambeth, the common area? So that's where the Pho Fest was, right? All right, so first of all, there's no kitchen in this place. It's just like a room. And I guess there was probably like 8 tables in there, or 50 seats or whatever. So anyways, dozens and dozens of people would come to the Pho Fest because, you know, it's a pretty popular event, but we couldn't feed them fast enough. Ticket times were pretty much like an hour to an hour and a half after you order. But the reason for this was because, so this was the process. This doesn't sound really stupid, but so basically you take the order, and then you sprint 100 yards to someone's apartment. You prepare the order, and then you relay it back to, like, you basically are holding like bowls of pho, walking 100 yards back to the Lambeth Commons, and you pass out the pho. But pretty much, it was more like a relay race than a charity pho event. So that was what was going on. Eventually, though, we cleared through the entire crowd, except there was 2 people left, and there was only enough broth for 1 bowl of pho. Now, these people have been waiting for an hour and a half for the promise of pho, and I remember my officers and I were standing around staring at this almost empty pot, and we're like, what the hell do we tell these people? You know, they've been waiting for an hour and a half. So, I mean, good thing I think like quick on my feet. So I took a water bottle and I just like dumped it in the bowl. I mean, I mixed it with the broth, right? And I split it into 2 bowls. Anyways, I mean, that kind of stays in this room, okay? Those things that you like take to the grave, but I want to share it with you guys because, you know, we're all cool now. Anyways, so the point of the story is that we stuck together, and almost everybody that came had a delicious meal.